Dismissive Avoidant in the 5 stages of a relationship. Now, this is a continual series on the 5 stages of a relationship, and you can see it all broken down in this series here. But how does the dismissive avoidant navigate through, and what needs need to be met to be able for them to get through the 5 stages of a relationship into the more fruitful ones in the later stages? The first, dismissive avoidant has to do with attachment styles. Now, attachment styles means when you're a child versus a caregiver, your caregiver is supposed to model certain types of behaviors, certain types of ways to interact, and depending on what that child sees from that caregiver, they're going to replicate what that was modeled to them, to future relations at work, romantic relationships, and even their future kids. And so with the dismissive avoidant, usually what's the big thing about them growing up, one of the negatives they didn't receive was the attention. So they have a huge neglect. But what happens is it makes them so much belief in themselves because nobody was ever there. So they have a very positive view of themselves, but a negative view in trust in others. And that has a very interesting dynamic when you combine that with the 5 stages of relationships. This is Joshua Ward with He Changed Me, and now we're going to go into a little bit of a breakdown of the 5 stages of relationships and then go into the information. Let's do it. All right, a recap on the 5 stages of the relationship. You have honeymoon phase and the date. We put the dating and the honeymoon phase together, right? So dating is when you start to really talk to them, start to grow some interest. Honeymoon phase is when you get that infatuation, that the neurochemicals of phenylalanine and oxytocin, your love chemicals, and they can do nothing wrong, and you blur your boundaries, and they're perfect, and that's going to be your honeymoon phase, right? Then you go in the dating phase. Then you go into the power struggle phase, which what happens is you have 2 individuals start to realize, okay, we need to go this way. No, we need to go this way. No, we need to go. And what happens is each individual has their own policies and procedures on how they've learned to survive in life, and they keep trying to pull the other person to fit their policies. And it becomes a power struggle. It's like, well, no, you need to do it my way. No, you need to do it my way. And then it comes up in battle, all right? And so then you get to the stability phase, which is people start to realize, okay, I'm flawed, you're flawed, we're both flawed individuals. The relationship is innately flawed in general, but how can we take both our policies and how we think things run and see if we can find a way to do things together and move forward? And is it possible to do that in a time frame that we actually can tolerate? Then you have the commitment stage, which is going to be when you start to commit to that individual, realizing that you may not like that person or love that person the way you did before, but realize that it doesn't matter how it is at that point, that you believe that it eventually will get back to normal. So you commit to that person, good or bad. And then you have the bliss stage, when you get to a point where you have so much peace. A lot of times you get to a point where you start to want to build something outside of themselves to help the community. And so those are going to be the 5 stages. And sometimes it's not linear. Sometimes it could be cyclical, or it could be web. But at the end of the day, understanding when you get further down in these stages, it's more likely that you're going to stay in the further stages than keep repeating those earlier, more troublesome phases. Dismissive avoidant in the 5 stages of a relationship. Now, first of all, the stability, commitment, and bliss stages, they're going to be very similar to all the attachment styles. Okay, no matter what the attachment style is that's going through these 5 stages, once they get to the stability phase, they have to realize with their partner that they're not right, and they gotta find a way to meet and work with each other and stabilize. The commitment stage is gonna be commitment, and the bliss stage is gonna be bliss stage. So we're gonna focus more on the dating, honeymoon, and then the power struggle phase in this video, okay? So let's go into dating. So dating with the dismissive avoidant, they wanna take their time. They're not in a rush. They're really trying to guard their vulnerabilities, and they're very hard to connect in that way. And so usually it takes them about a while to get into a committed relationship. It could take them up to 6 months or even more to really say, all right, I'm ready to jump in a relationship. And the more people push and try to push them to be in a relationship, I feel like they tack on another month or 2 months each time they try to push. So that's where they are with that. They want to just take their time, really get to know, and it's hard to really make any commitments, right? So when you get the honeymoon phase, which happens with those individuals, the needs they need are going to be advanced progress, right? They want to have secure boundaries, and they want to have a good personal space about what's going on through this process. They want to have autonomy to make sure that you can still make decisions on themselves and with everything else with them through that honeymoon phase. They want to make sure they're able to meet their own needs, and then also they have a form of some type of attachment that's needed for them to make sure they don't open up and be too vulnerable. And they want to progress to the relationship very slowly. Now, with those needs, I mean, how does the honeymoon affect them? They still get the phenylalanine and the oxytocin, the love drunk, and they'll minimize their boundaries, but they're more on the opposite end, as we talked about in the Anxious Preoccupied video. And the way they actually display their love, they'll do it in more of logical gestures instead of like emotional grand gestures. So a lot of times you'll see them do more of the five love languages we can check out here. They kind of do more of the acts of service, things that don't have to really have them verbalize anything or physical touch. Those are the areas where they feel more comfortable to be able to display their love. And they'll do it a lot in the honeymoon phase. But they're still cautious about their emotions, cautious about their vulnerabilities, and they want to keep this stage fun and light. They don't want to move too quickly. They just want to just enjoy life. They're also slow to actually introduce their friends and family. Again, they feel like the more that people are aware about what's going on, the less autonomy they have, and the more they'll have to be more attached to an individual, which is kind of scary for the dismissive avoidant. And they want to keep the status unclear and vague. Like, even if you're maybe a girlfriend and boyfriend, like, are we progressing something forward, or is this something that's it's getting serious? They make sure they go from that thing from the plague. Side note, if you ever really want to talk to dismissive avoidant and go into that, make sure you give them a time frame to think about it before you just throw it on them. Hey, what do you think about us now? Be like more, hey, can we talk about in 2 weeks from now about how we are progressing? Give them time to kind of think it through so they can they need more time to speak about how their emotions are, how they feel. When they're on the spot, they're gonna just be more vague. But so what happens, okay, so you have this honeymoon phase, and then you move into what's called the power struggle phase, right? So now the power struggle phase has to do with the dismissive avoidant. They wanna make sure they keep their autonomy, and they think that we need to meet our own needs and all these things, right? And so they expect whoever they're with to have the same type of understanding. So some of the fears is those things are freedom and independence. They fear to be consumed by the relationship. They don't want to be like their identity being the relationship, feeling constrained, and also feeling misunderstood, because when they speak about certain things, if people ridicule them for what they're speaking up about, then it actually makes them feel like, okay, I've misunderstood. Why am I speaking in the first place? Which makes them even more quiet. All right, the effects. All right, you get withdrawal from conflict. You avoid expressing the feelings. They become more rigid with their boundaries. They put up like reinforcements with those boundaries. They create distancing strategies, avoiding things, and maybe not even try to find ways to even get into those type of situations. Dismiss partners' connection, also deactivate and mentally check out. You have a situation when somebody's speaking to that individual, they'll just sit there and not even respond because they mentally just checked out. And so what the needs they need in this situation are they need to require more time for recharge. They need some time to kind of like, they're not used to exerting more energy emotionally and trying to connect with somebody. So it's hard for them. So in the beginning stages of this power struggle, they need more time to recharge, to kind of re-equilibrate before they can go forward. Engaging in logical problem solving, emotional connection, and then space when overwhelmed and to resolve conflict, right? Again, if you were somebody who's anxious, they want to resolve it now. This needs some time to kind of look at it logically, break it down before they can go forward and speak intelligently about what's going on, about how they feel and how they want things to go. So the power struggle phase, after that, you get to the stability phase. When you get to stability phase with dismissive avoidant, they realize they're not perfect and they're trying to make it work, and that's where it starts to be very similar to every other stage. Final thoughts, okay? So this just gives you another tool to be able to look at dismissive avoidance and seeing where they are and how they feel, and actually leaving more space for them to really kind of meet you where you need to meet them, okay? So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. please give me contents or any type of questions or anything that you feel like you want to hear more about. Definitely looking forward to making more videos. I think I'm going to move towards more like parenting perspective for a little bit, and then I'm going to move back into attachment styles after that series. So please let me know how you liked the 5 stages of relationship series, what things could be changed. And as I end majority of my video calls, if you have kids, slow down and give them a hug and tell them you love them. And this should be done on a more consistent basis, because kids are fleeting, they forget, and they need to be constantly reassured to realize that they're beautiful, they're intelligent, they're strong, and that you love them just because they're born. Because they're born, they have made you better as a person, so they're already worthy off the gate. So hope you liked in this series, and then hope you look forward to the parenting series, which I'm really looking forward to doing more research on and actually utilizing my own anecdotes of me and my daughter. So till next time, see you when I see you.